Hello and welcome to Cooking Your Way Through Life.
Today's episode is Cooking Your Way Through Timing, and today's culinary tips is timing in the kitchen.
Cooking Your Way Through Life is a podcast combining knowledge of the kitchen and applying it to real-life situations. This podcast is all about understanding techniques to make things you already know even better. Topics from traveling on a budget, setting and achieving short and long-term goals, and of course, cooking.
On today's episode, we address the elephant in the room. Are you with that person or not with that person because of the timing, or should you just not be with that person? Also, what about your career and your job? Is the timing very important on that aspect as well? We're going to dive into the culinary side of things and teach you how to time out your meals so that everything comes out hot as well.
Please welcome Chef Hollywood.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cooking Way Through Life with me, Chef Hollywood. And today is all about timing. I feel like timing is the perfect thing to talk about right now. I am currently in New Zealand. I am getting ready to get back on a ship, so you should start to see more ship things coming up very soon, like within the next week of hearing this podcast. And timing is so important in life, guys, because in the kitchen, in real life, timing is everything. You think about where you are right now today. Just take a moment and think about who you are and where you are. Would you be this person if you had the same opportunities 15 years ago? Would you be the same person if you had the same opportunities and knew what you knew and everything 5 years ago? Would you choose the job that you would choose now a year ago? Like, all these things play a big part. And I think sometimes when we think about timing, we think about it just being like, it didn't work out with the relationship because the timing was off. But it's not just the timing of that. It's like the timing of everything. Like, that person could be in a different mindset than you and vice versa. All that. We're going to get into all that today. Trust me. I'm also going to go into the culinary side of things, talking about timing. One, an actual general, actual sense of timing in the kitchen. There are things where we need to make sure the timing is very important when you're cooking things. And then the other side of things, we want to talk about timing in the kitchen as far as patience just a little bit. I've already done patience, but I like to revisit and retouch things. If you've ever taken a class with me online, in person, anywhere, you know that I'm a person that I feel like repetition really works, because the more you go over things and the more you understand it in different ways, I feel like it really, it can lock you in and you really, really get it, right? So that's why I do that kind of things. All right, so let's start today off with some timing in the real world sense of things. And I've already touched on this a little bit, but let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Timing is one of the biggest things that we talk about in relationships. It's just like, if the timing would have been better, then me and such could have worked out and all those things. But I'm not dismissing it. I 100% agree with it, because there are times where you might right now in your current position in life want to be in a relationship, monogamous, like you really want to take the effort and really push forward. Like, you're ready to take the leap of faith. You're not scared anymore. Like, you really want to put your all into it. The person that you're with might not want those things. But then talk to each other. You think back okay, 5 years ago, they might have been in that position and you were not ready to start those things and really jump in and really do the effort of being in an actual relationship and not just, have friends with benefits or be out here just dating. So it's just the timing does play a huge part, but we can't control where we meet people. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the past couple years is that we can say it's timing, but it's not just your timing. It's the other person's timing as well when it comes to relationships, because you might be feeling this way right now, but the person that you're trying to be with might not be on that same page. So I think the most important thing about the timing and that situation is understanding that you both need to be on the same page at the same time, which I think is the hardest thing, because unfortunately in this thing that we call life, we're all moving and maneuvering at different times, no pun intended, and different spaces and different, like, we're all just going through life differently. And so we're processing it differently. And so the person that you might want to be with might not want to be putting that effort in and, like doing that work right now. And I think it doesn't diminish. Well, yeah, it doesn't. Like, it's not anything. It does not diminish who you are, of course. It doesn't even make them a bad person. It just means that the timing of the situation is not right. Now, you have a couple choices. You can wait for that time to change, or you can move on and then, like, try to find somebody that's on the same time as you're on. I think the biggest lesson outside of, like, what we're talking about currently, the biggest lesson within this lesson, that sounds better, that I've definitely come across is that if you wait for something to change, then a lot of times, not all the time, but at least in my experience, you wait for someone to change or something to change. You start building up expectations that are unrealistic. And that person, 9 times out of 10, will not be able to achieve those expectations. So then it's kind of doomed before it starts, because that expectation is not going to be met. You're waiting. So now you're going to resent or feel some kind of way waiting on them to become the person you want them to become. And you're thinking about it timing. But in the grand scheme of things, when you think about timing, waiting is not always on your side, because a lot of times when we wait for something, that's under the assumption that they are going to become that person that you want them to become in a specific time. And that's also not true, because if you think about yourself, if someone came into your life right now and they wanted you to be the person that you were 5 years ago, are you ever going to be that person again? Do you even want to be that person again? Is that someone that you're, like, trying to be? And sometimes it is. Sometimes you're on a journey right now that has taken you off the path that you want to personally be on, and you're fighting to get back to that person that you wanted to be. So sometimes that is actually accurate. But if it's not, now look at it in that same perspective of the person that you're waiting on. Are they the person that they want to be right now? Are they trying to get back to the person they used to want to be? Or are they really happy in where they are now? Because if they're really happy in where they are now, why would they change into a different person, even if that other person is who you want them to be? And I think taking that perspective and looking within yourself and seeing how it would play out if it was the roles were reversed really helps you make a decision whether is the timing off, or did we miss our time? Because that's also another aspect. We can talk about a shoulda, woulda, couldas, and a what ifs, but sometimes we just missed each other. Like, where I want to be in my life right now is where you want to be in your life a while ago, or where you might want to be in your life later on, where I might not want to be there. I might not want to wait for that. And so timing is very important, but figure out if the timing is off or the timing has passed, because those are two completely different things, which will give you two completely different outcomes. One of them is going to give you resentment and pain, and you're going to feel like you wasted time. And the other one might give you a very, like, great happy ending to a story. It might not, but at least you're going to take the leap of faith. I just feel like one of them, there's no leap of faith to take, On the other side of that, because, I always try to work in both sides, talk about personal and everything. And also, I'll say this too. I've been on both sides of that. Actually, I just said that. Like, I've been on both sides of this, right? I've literally been with somebody more recently that I'm waiting on them because the timing is not right. What I want is something that they wanted a while back, and they don't want it anymore. And what they want now is something I used to want, and I don't want it anymore. And so I know that even though I don't want to walk away, I am going to walk away, because there is no, unless that person wants to change or I want to change, there's no in between. And so it's inevitable. And ultimately, I'm just going to hurt myself, But this is mature me talking, because if this were to if this whole thing timing were to happen to me 10 years ago, man, I would still just be seeing it through, and I would be hurt, and I would be, just be like, I don't understand how that happened. Like, I didn't see the signs, which I would have seen the signs, but I wouldn't have followed the signs because, but I'm just saying, like, as a mature person now, I understand that. But I've been on the other side too, and I can honestly say that I was with an ex who waited on me a little bit to get to where she wanted me to be. And it did work out for the time that it worked out. And I know being on that side of it, that the person that I'm with now does not want to get to that person, if that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, enough about me personally. What I was going to say was, there's also a small part of this that, or not even a small part of this, but this also can be related to your jobs, because not everybody going through relationship issues. Some of y'all out there happily married in real relationships, and y'all be like, what is he talking about? I hope you never find out, because the dating pool is not, the dating pool is like that kiddie pool, but it's 10,000 people trying to jump in right now. So if you are one of those people, then this timing thing, just look at it as the timing worked out for where you are now. And you might think about timing in different ways when it comes to your career. And so when we think about career and timing, a lot of times we don't really think about it as a big picture. We kind of think about it as small parts of the puzzle. But even in your career, and I can say this, like, I'm 37 now, and I can say this, I am at a point in my career where I could only dream to be at. But if I had the same opportunities and I met my boss now, same opportunities, same companies 10 years ago, I would not be ready to accept the job that I have now and the career path that I have now. And I think that goes into, sometimes we are given opportunities that we're not ready for. And the timing of that can be off, because you have to decide whether you fake it till you make it and make it work or you decline it and it might not ever come back around again. And so I think a lot of us, because I've been a victim of this. I've actually done this before. A lot of us look at the outside world and say, why am I not there? Why am I not at this position? Why am I not here? And all those things. And you start thinking about comparison. And remember, comparison is the thief of all joy. But you don't know what people went through in their journey to get to where they are. We see things on social media. We hear things from what people tell us. But 9 times out of 10, someone's full actual story to get to where they are is something that you may not ever be privy to. And a lot of times, realistically, you don't even really care. Like, if I sat on this podcast and told you everything that I had to go through to get to where I am now, like, I think that half of you would care and half of you would be like, woe is me. It's just, so it's like sometimes it's one of those things where we only see what we see and you don't know what you don't know. And so a lot of times in your career, the timing of it can seem like it came out of nowhere, or it might seem like it's delayed. But if it feels like it's delayed, then do the work that you know you're supposed to be doing so that when that opportunity comes, you can show up. And that's something I tell everybody all the time. Because as far as for me, I feel like if it wasn't for that, I would not be where I am now. If I didn't do the work that I was doing, when the opportunity that came up for me to get the job that I currently have, I would not have been able to do it. I wouldn't have. Like, it was nothing. It was nobody and nothing pushing me to do that work and get better at teaching and understand different cultures and different cuisine and basically like push myself harder to become a better culinary instructor and also be a better host and also be a better person on the microphone. Like, no, I did those things because I knew that what I wanted had that in it in some way. I didn't know how it was going to come. I didn't know how it was going to manifest, but I trusted in God. I trusted in the idea that it would happen, and taking that trust when it did happen, I Only thing I could do was put my best foot forward, and it was good enough, and it was good, and it got me where I am now. So I think that's a big takeaway as far as timing when it comes to careers and your job and things like that. A lot of times we're waiting on it, but if that opportunity were to come, if you want to be a model, if you want to be a rapper, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be an architect, that opportunity comes to you tomorrow. Are you prepared tomorrow to do those things if you got that interview that you've been waiting for? And if you're not, and it's really what you want to do, that's what you need to be working on, because when it comes, you need to be ready. You need to be ready for it. That's pretty much it. All right, guys, I got a little long-winded on the other side of things today, which is crazy for me because, I mean, if y'all know, I haven't shouted them out before. I watch Poor Minds, Lex P and Drea. If you have not checked out Poor Minds, one of my favorite podcasts to watch on YouTube, listen to. But Lex also has another podcast called Lex P, and the T, I think it's like the T with Lex P, and she always be like, yeah, you know, we getting out today, we getting 30 minutes. And I know, and I can say this because I never actually said anything on my podcast, but when it's solo episodes, I feel her, because when I have a co-host, which I try to do co-hosts and solo episodes by equal, when I have a co-host, I will run. These episodes be long. And I honestly be shorting them because I be like, I don't think people want to hear 2 hours of me talking. You know, I be want to hear my co-host, but I don't think y'all want to be hearing me. But like when it's me by myself, I be like, all right, I set that clock. I be like, let's get in here 30 minutes. I know they're not going to hear more than that. So y'all might get a little bit more than 30 minutes today, maybe like 35. But on the culinary side of things, I want to talk about timing, as far as really just the idea that timing is so important in the kitchen. Like, there are certain things in the kitchen where you just have to have a foundation on, and timing is one of them. I mean, even something as simple as steak. If you pull it too early, it's undercooked. You pull it too late, it's overcooked. If you're baking bread, underproofing your dough, it's going to be dense. Overproofing your dough, it's going to collapse. Even pasta, like 30 seconds can be too long to change anything. When we take the cook to al dente, is literally to undercook it, not cook it all the way, because if you're going to put it in any sauce, if you're going to finish it in any way, you want it to finish in that item. So that is one of the things where it really, really, timing is everything. The other side of that too, which I do want to touch on, is timing when you're cooking. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to where they'll be like, actually, I'm not going to call him out, but I literally just talked to somebody who just told me my wife cooks, but, and he appreciates that she cooks. He really does. But he's always just like, the food is never the same temperature because the timing when she cooks. If you're cooking fried, and I'm just going to say, you know, I'm from the South. So you're making fried chicken, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, some collard greens, and cornbread. I mean, this is like a heavy meal for maybe like a Sunday, you know, inviting everybody over. There is a certain timing to cooking all those things, because if you don't, then out of those dishes, some are going to be super cold, and then you're waiting on one to be done. So when we talk about timing as well, it's about the execution. Let's just say you're making fried chicken and mashed potatoes and cornbread, just those three. And I know that it's no vegetable here. I'm just saying, like, in terms of talking here, if you're frying the chicken, we all know that no one wants to eat cold fried chicken. I mean, you just don't. Mashed potatoes, that can hold over a little longer. Cornbread can also hold over a little longer. Think about the end result. What in your meal can actually hold over, or if it's not piping hot, will be okay? Because those are things that you want to make sure you're going to be done first. You don't want to have to wait on the cornbread to cook. You might want to wait on the chicken to cook if it comes to that. Because if we have to pick or choose, which ones are going to be better? Room temperature cornbread, or like still warm, but not like right out the oven cornbread, or room temperature, like, okay, kind of warm chicken. It's just one of those things. And I should have said fish, because I know that y'all understand when I say fish. Like, you definitely don't want cold fried fish. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where you just want to time it and get into the habit of what I like to do is I always think about the end result. Like I was just talking about, like which one can hold over, which one can last. So of course with me, mashed potatoes, I get that out of the way because my mashed potatoes, I can always hold mashed potatoes. It is easy to keep mashed potatoes warm, easy to keep rice warm, easy to keep pasta warm. You don't worry about those things. Now you worry about which one needs to be hot. So I'm going to fry that chicken last, or I'm going to have it going on like almost pretty much last. Like once that mashed potatoes are pretty much done, I just need to add a little butter. I can either put a lid on it or even pop it in the oven. If I have it in a shaker tray, keep it on very low. Literally, I cover it in any way. It's going to stay warm. Once that cornbread is like halfway done, we starting to fry this chicken. And then once that cornbread comes out, I should be bringing out the last batch of chicken and now we can eat. But always think about it in that way. Think about your end result and then work your way backwards. All right. Jumping back into timing. I kind of talked about this as well because I was saying in your career, like think about where you were like 10 years ago and then think about where you are. I talk about on this podcast and everywhere about working on ships. And I literally just say I'm going to work on a ship. It is part of my life. I feel like it's not like my end all be all, but I feel like it's very, very interesting part of my life. And one of the things with timing for me is I actually thought my time on ships was over. And that's another thing I was talking about. Sometimes you got to get out your own way. We talked about relationships, talked about jobs, and you can't treat life as finite. You see these people, and we literally have names for like spinning the block or, like going back to work, whatever. You have to do what's right for you in the moment, but that's all you can control. None of us are Jesus. None of us are writing the story. We are going through the story. We are on the journey. We don't know where the end is going to be, right? And with me, I thought, and I really did, I thought that when I left Norwegian Cruise Line, which was my first cruise line I ever worked for, I was done with cruise ships. I spent years on land. I worked the World Ski Championships. I worked in restaurants. I helped open like 4 restaurants. I started my personal chef business. I got my LLC going. I moved like multiple times cross country. I did all those things. And then when I got an opportunity to go back to work on ships, Holland America Cruise Line, working for America's Test Kitchen, the timing was right in that moment. Previous to that, which I left cruise ships in 2012, I left cruise ships. And then I started back cruise ships 2017. So in between there, the timing for me to go back to cruise ships just never worked. It never even felt right. I never even thought about it. Like I never even thought, like I legit didn't. It was one of those things where I worked on cruise ships and it was just like a funny thing to tell people, or like a pickup, not a pickup line. Cause if you know me, I suck at flirting. So I don't have any pickup lines, but it was just one of those things like I would tell people. But timing is so funny because if Norwegian would have called me back, and this is nothing against Norwegian, I give Norwegian all the credit because without them, I wouldn't even have the experience to be where I'm at now. But if they would have called me back to go back to that same job on that same ship, I would have said no. Here's where timing does different too. I only said yes because it was a different opportunity within something that felt familiar, but worked for me in the moment. And I say that to say that a lot of times we talk about relationships. I've said on this podcast, I literally have a whole podcast about how I don't go back to exes. I've never spent the block. For me, it's the same exact thing that I'm talking about now. Where I'm going to be in my life in a year, I hope and pray I'm not in the same position I'm in now. And not because where I'm in now is bad, but I always want to be moving and evolving and changing. Otherwise, like, we're not living, we're just existing, right? And so if your ex called you in a year, if you are in a position, in a place where you want to entertain that at the moment, that does not diminish you. But it also, if you're not in that position that you want to entertain it because you're not where you used to be a year ago, you also don't have to feel bad because it's been a year. If they come to you with something that is different, like, hey, like they have different ideas of where they want to be doing now, blah, blah. Like that's a whole different mindset. That's the same thing happened to me with going back to ships. It's like a familiar environment with a different position and different things. And I think that works for all your jobs too. Like a lot of us are not going to go back to a job we worked 5 years ago for the exact same salary and the exact same position that we were. Because 5 years ago, inflation is crazy. Like, first and foremost, and that's what I mean. Like, think about it the exact way. Like, it's the exact same thing. But I think because I don't want to come off like, I have said that, and I don't want to be like, I'm saying it just to say it. Like, that's the reason why. That's literally the reason why I say this kind of things. Like, it just has to make sense in doing everything. The other thing I want to talk about timing is about you. Timing for you. And I know that people hate this word, but your brand, your business. A lot of people are entrepreneurs these days. I have an LLC, I have a business, and I think that one thing that I actually never did a full episode about it, except like I think first season about starting a business, but timing in business world when you're doing your own stuff is so important. And I think the biggest thing you have to give yourself in that space is grace. First and foremost, there's no looking down on either side. 9 to 5s and entrepreneurship are also realistically, it's about the timing that you are in your life. There is not one better than the other, in my opinion. I'm not looking down on anybody. I don't look down on anybody. First of all, like if you're doing what you need to do to get where you need to be, then that's all you need. Like, that's it. But I do think, and I do feel like entrepreneurship and being creators, for people that do not have a business or are creators, they're looked at as easy jobs or easy wins or like easy. They're just looked at as easy, right? None of this is easy. I'll say that first and foremost. It is much easier for me, and I'm just speaking for myself. It is much easier for me to go clock into somebody else's job and get a guaranteed salary or paycheck than it is for me to put in effort, time, energy, and heart into my podcast, into my cookbooks, into my YouTube, into these things with the hope that they pay off. There's no guarantee. There's nothing that says you upload 100 YouTube videos and now you get a check. I have to get subscribers. I have to get views. I have to build a community, and you guys have to want to listen to those things for me to get paid. It's much easier for me to say, F all that, I'm going to clock in. So that's why, like, when people assume that, it does irk me a little bit. It gives me a little ick. It's just like, okay, like, I'm not lifting 50-pound boxes every day or, like swimming across the ocean back and forth. But like, it is hard and it's mentally draining. You have to love it. I think that's why for me, as a creator and as an entrepreneur, it wasn't a big leap, because as a chef, you have to love it. I've told people this forever. I have mentees now, and one of the things I always tell people is that you have to love the culinary field to stay in it, because we don't do it for the money. We don't do it for the fame. We don't do it for the girls or the guys. We don't do it for anything other than loving it, because 9 times out of 10, you will still not be like in the top 10 percentile of earning potential or anything. Like, there's very small niches for that. Not that there aren't there, but you have to really work for it. But if that's what you're going for, it's not the space for you. And I think being a creator is the same way. Being an entrepreneur is the same way. Like, there's no guarantee. And so when it comes to timing on those aspects, you have to step into that world when you're ready and willing to put in the time. And that also sometimes looks like working double time, meaning that you have to keep your job, your 9 to 5, while you pay for it and really pour into your entrepreneurship and your business and your creator side. Because unfortunately, like I said, like, I don't currently, when you hear this episode for the first time, I am not monetized on YouTube. Now, I'm claiming that we will be monetized on YouTube by next year. But that's just because I believe in myself. And I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to put in the time. And I really do honestly believe that I will build up the following and the views and everything else. But I mean, ultimately, the timing of it, I can honestly do this at this point in my life because I currently make enough to also pour into that side of what I want to do. And that's something that I know a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about. And I may not have talked about it either. I can't even remember. I might have said something about it, but like, I never want to misguide people. And I know that like I'm not, but the timing of that is very important. Like you just don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to quit my 9 to 5 and I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And now you like can go buy a Bugatti because that's not the real world. Just not. Anyway, I just thought about that song. I woke up in a new Bugatti. Anyway, the other part of culinary today I want to talk about, which kind of touches on patience that we did a while back when my boy OG, shout out to OG. We did an episode on patience. If you want to go check that out, please go check that out. And we talk about cooking risotto. And I wanted to bring up patience because timing is also something that teaches you about patience in your life. But on the culinary side, I feel like it's actually easier because I'm a visual learner. Certain dishes takes time to become the dishes. A braised dish is all about time. Slow cooked sauces is all about time. Fermentation is all about time. Risotto, of course, is all about time. What are some of these dishes? You can't get things like pickled anything without time. You have to be patient for that to happen. Risotto speaks for itself. Fermentation, that goes into if you want to make anything that's fermented. I mean, I'm currently in New Zealand, not directly in Korea, but one of the first things pop in my mind when I think about fermentation is kimchi. Like you can't just make kimchi in 10 minutes. Like it all takes time. Braising. You're from the South. You've had braised something before. Like braised oxtails, braised brisket if you can't smoke it. Braised anything. It's all about the timing. Slow and steady. Most sauces, I say, are slow cooked sauces. It takes time to develop flavor. Soups takes time. So it's not one of those things where like you can't rush it and you can't rush life. You can't rush cooking. You can't rush life. And some things develop flavor over time. So just be patient. Just be patient, man. All right, guys. Ooh, look at that. I'm looking at the time. I said I'll be in here like 35 minutes. Aha. We at 33 now. I really don't be thinking about it like that. It's really just like if you are an avid listener, first and foremost, thank you so much. But what happens is I talk the same amount of time, whether it's a co-hosted episode or whether it's a solo episode. It's longer because the co-host is now also talking. So that's why the episode lengths do vary from time to time. But to close out today, because I've had a ball today. Timing, I just want to talk about timing for a second. Like literally, timing doesn't mean you're late or early. It just means you're exactly where you need to be in the process. And whether you're cooking in life, sometimes the best thing you can do is trust the timing, but also in your regular life, some things you can just do is trust the timing. Like, today I'm literally recording this episode in New Zealand, a place I never expected life to bring me. And as a reminder that sometimes the best things happen when timing finally lines up, because I was supposed to move to New Zealand in 2020. For those that don't know, had already applied for my work visa. I was just going to come down here and I was going to work because I always loved New Zealand. Everybody know what happened in 2020. We were there. If you weren't, wow. And then like, I just didn't think I had an opportunity to be here again. And it's just so, you just never know. You just never know. So never give up. Never feel defeated by time or what's going on, because things can change in an instant. Literally, things can change in an instant. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's culinary tips, and I hope you've been enjoying everything. Don't forget that episodes come out every week on Thursday. We got some special surprises that should be dropping in the next 2 weeks. I have some sponsorships or some people I'll be working with. So I'll be having some sponsors coming up. I also will be doing, well, I think I've already said it. So starting in May, the visuals are going to be there for every single podcast. So even my solo episodes, you can see me on YouTube. Of course, you can hear me the same way you've been hearing me now if you've been listening on your podcast streaming or whatever. But you will be able to see me on YouTube if you want to come over to YouTube and watch the episodes with me and my co-host. I think the co-host episodes are hilarious and so good. And I mean, my episodes are cool too, but I'm interested when co-hosts are. So yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, other than that, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. So I appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Cooking Your Way Through Life with Chef Hollywood.